Hey, the Jazz Doctor here. Right now is the best time for you to make a pledge and support our students in the Student Learning Lab during our fall membership drive here at 91.1 WHFC. Support us with what you can at WHFC911.org. And thanks.
Hey everyone, it's Rich Bennett. Can you believe it? The show is turning 10 this year. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who've tuned in, shared an episode, or even joined the conversation over the years. You're the reason that this podcast has grown into what it is today. Together, we've shared laughs, tears, and moments that truly matter. So I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Let's make the next 10 years even better.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch
It's probably the least sexy part of the work, and I don't have the answer. It's okay. No. The truth is...
What if the thing you thought was holding you back turned out to be your greatest strength? Today, I'm joined by someone who knows that story all too well. Sue Day. Diagnosed with ADHD back in 1988, long before it was widely understood or accepted, Sue spent years ignoring her diagnosis, navigating failed attempts, burnout, and the ultimate curveball, success in a career that drained the life out of her. But instead of giving up, she leaned in. She stopped trying to fit her unique brain into someone else's box and started building a new one. Now, a certified ADHD coach and author of ADHD Brilliance, A Journey into Your Extraordinary Brain, Sue helps others understand and love the very brains they've been told are too much or not enough. So we're going to dive into Sue's raw, real, and empowering journey from dropping out of high school to finding her voice as a coach, speaker, and now a published author, an authorpreneur. If you or someone you love lives with ADHD, and I guarantee you, all you listening, if you don't have ADHD, you know someone that does, or you just want to learn how to turn challenges into purpose, this conversation is going to resonate deeply. So grab your coffee, grab your soda, grab whatever you're drinking, sit back and enjoy. So how you doing, Sue?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. You said some things in some new ways. I'm like, oh, I should use that.
Feel free to do so.
Awesome. Thank you.
I want to go back because myself, I'm a high school dropout as well. But all right, so in 88, you were diagnosed. What year was it that you actually dropped out of high school?
Same year.
Same year.
Yeah, I think about the same year. Yeah. So I dropped out when I was 16. I guess maybe you weren't allowed to drop out until you were 16 and a half,
right?
Getting your parents in trouble. So I think I waited till then, and then dropped out the second I could.
And what did your parents say?
They were not pleased. Definitely not pleased. But I think my last high school, which is supposedly a very good high school, I had somewhere around 364 hours of detention.
What?
Loaded up because every time you had unexcused absence, they gave you detention. And I was actually I took my test pretty well, but I was not very big on attendance. And so because I wasn't going to class, I had that much attention rolled up, and they were like, well, we can't give you any waivers on that. Like, we can't. Well, it's like, well, it's impossible for me to graduate with that much attention.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to see you later. And my parents sort of understood that. Like, they were like, well, of course you can't do 364 hours of detention. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. They don't even ask that many community service hours to graduate.
Right. Yeah, no, it was, they, I think, were pretty happy to see me go. The high school.
Wow. Yeah, not your parents, but
Right. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, too, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were diagnosed, the teachers didn't really focus on that. They expected you to learn the same way that everybody else was, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I knew even before I was diagnosed that there was something different about the way I learned. There's this, in the learning modalities or side of things, I have this way of learning. I don't even know how it works, but just somehow I know what I know, and what I need to focus and try to learn is hard for me. So either I know it or it's really hard to get there. And it doesn't seem to be much of an in-between, and there never was. And so, it just didn't work for me. It didn't work because of what I knew. I was like, well, how am I going to sit in classes listening to somebody teach this stuff that I already somehow know? And so it just didn't make any sense to me. And my ADHD brain, who wants things to be really logical, efficient, and straightforward, I didn't get it. And if I don't get it, I can't do it.
I've seen people struggle with it when I was in school. Of course, we didn't know what it was then. I'm pretty sure I struggled with it. I've just never been diagnosed with it, but I'm pretty sure I have it.
I am no diagnostician, but what you just told me about the number of projects you have hanging around your house.
Yeah, you're right. I think I do. It's just nonstop. But no, I mean, and watching my kids go to school, and you could see, and even my nephew and niece, they do. But I don't understand why, even today, a lot of schools still struggle with teaching these kids. It makes no sense. And we haven't even gotten to the workforce yet, because I'm sure that's even more ridiculous. Actually, so when you quit, what did you do? I know you weren't like me. You weren't playing in a band that kicked you out.
No, I was not in a band. I was maybe doing some not very well-behaved things. It is actually a very common trait with ADHD that we seek our excitement. If we're not paying attention to our symptoms, we seek our excitement in either positive or negative ways with great focus. So wherever the excitement is, that focus can be really intense. And that's why there's a lot of substance use issues in ADHD, in the ADHD population. And there's a lot of risky behaviors in the ADHD population. It's a huge amount of incarceration in the ADHD population.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually, I believe ADHD, if treated and attended to well, is a huge strength. And if it's ignored, it can be disastrous.
Right.
And it can just be horrendous. So, and dangerous. So, I did plenty of things that I should not have done, in those years. But what really, what I loved was I went and worked on a farm. And so I was working with my body. I was working with my hands. I was in the dirt all the time, and I was working hard, and I was sweating, and that helped so much. Just that manual work. My brain just loves it. So,
well, also you're out there with nature too. And they say, just being outside with nature alone can help in so many ways with so many different things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how long were you working on the farm?
I worked on the farm from the time I was 14. So I found it before I started encountering too many problems. Well, actually not true. I always had problems in school. But so when I was 14, I found the farm, and I worked there till I was about 21. So it was one of my longer careers as, working on the farm. And so as I went to college when I was 18, but every summer I came back and worked on the farm again until I moved out of state.
If you're a podcast host or someone wanting to be interviewed on podcasts as a guest, visit podmatch.com. Podmatch automatically connects ideal podcast guests and hosts together for interviews. We always say it works just like a dating app, but instead of connecting you for dates, it connects you for podcast interviews. Podmatch has connected over 85,000 guests and hosts together for interviews that listeners love, all while saving you countless hours of administrative work through built-in automations. If you're ready to level up your podcast interviews on either side of the mic, start today by visiting podmatch.com.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but now, don't you run a nonprofit?
I didn't run a nonprofit, but I was in nonprofit leadership for about 10 years. Mm-hmm.
All right. So when did you make that jump? Because that's hard to do.
Yeah. I actually think ADHD is pretty well suited for work in nonprofits in a lot of not maybe great ways. But so I went to a farm. I worked on a farm, and then I worked. I went to college. Out of college, I was going to do. I got my degree in outdoor leadership, and I was going to work with populations of kids that were that needed different styles of learning, perhaps. I created the major myself. It was outdoor leadership for social change. And the kids ate me alive. And so I ran away from that really quickly. Turns out teenagers are much tougher than I am. So ran away from that. And then I was an executive assistant for and a legal secretary for like 5 or 6 years. Again, another really detailed job that, because I was working in a for somebody, if I'm doing the work for, and it can be really meditative, some of the work in an executive assistant type, filing, spreadsheets, all this stuff that's like, okay, I can sort of focus there, and I had my excitement with, chatting with other people and working on the like crisis thing. So that was good for a while, but it burnt myself out again. And then I ran my own landscaping company for 10 years.
Wow.
And that was also wonderful and awful. I crashed and burned in it as well. As I do, is this sort of this roller coaster of like great success and crash and great success and crash. And then I worked in the nonprofit field. After that, I'm my entrepreneurial work helped make me ready for the administration that's needed in a nonprofit. In a nonprofit, you wear lots of hats. You have to do a lot of things. Is really rewarded to say yes and give your all to everything that you do in a nonprofit, because it's the mission. It's for your heart. Yeah, they want you to give everything, your fingers to the bone in a nonprofit, and I loved it for a really long time. And I got into finance, and I love finance. It's actually much more creative than one might think it is. So it's like not that lovely sort of meditative spreadsheet work, and then this really creative side of like, well, how do we make this budget work? How do we expand? How do we think big? So also lots of really great things for me. And then I crashed again. I got super burnt out and did too many things for too long, and saw an ADHD coach, and that changed my life.
All right. So when you were doing these other jobs, it sounds like you were going all in, and you were probably working more hours than you were probably supposed to, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Somewhere in between 60 to 80 hours a week, just all in, let's go. And I had a young kid then. So, nonprofits are flexible, so you can sort of move your hours around often. So I had my young kid. I could deal with being a mom and doing all this work. It was a lot.
It's amazing you didn't give yourself a heart attack.
Yeah, no, I got pretty sick at the end. I didn't know I was sick because we also really suck at telling how our bodies feel.
Right. Wait, you mentioned you went to college, so I take it you got your GED before you went to college?
Yeah, I got my GED, I think on the day that I would have graduated high school. That was sort of appease my parents and maybe also like prove like, well, I didn't need to do this thing. Why, so I did that.
How hard was that? How hard was it
pretty
for you?
easy. For me, it was pretty easy. I was always pretty good at the book work, and it's not, a test that's made to really test for a lot of skills. So it's just like, did you make it through high school? Pretty much, yeah. So it was pretty easy for me.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I went and took my GED, I couldn't believe how easy it was. And a lot of other people that I talked to with ADHD, the same thing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because you're not trying to focus over 4 years.
Yeah.
It's then, you know you can get it quicker. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a quick one and done, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do.
Now, how hard was college for you, or was that pretty easy as well?
College was easier than high school.
Okay. But again, you were doing something you wanted to do, right?
I was doing things that I wanted to do. I went to this wonderful college up in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. I'm from Boston originally, so
I'm sorry. No, I said I'm sorry. I'm joking. I have to say that, Red Sox, Patriots.
Right.
I'm Baltimore, so I mean, even though I don't watch baseball.
Yeah, I get it.
At least you're not Pittsburgh, so that's okay.
Right, exactly.
Now I'm going to get a lot of hate from people in Pittsburgh listening. I still love y'all.
Yeah, well, it's all fun and end games, right?
So up in Vermont, though?
Oh, yeah. So up in Vermont,
man,
beautiful. The Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, like way up by Quebec, really.
Nice.
And it was then it was a 2-year school called Sterling College. In Craftsbury Common. There's a Sterling College in Kansas. It's not that one. It's a Sterling College in Craftsbury Common, Vermont. And it was a 2-year experiential education school where we worked on farms. We learned how to do sustainable forestry, sustainable agriculture. We learned about resource allocations and outdoor education.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was really a huge boon for me. There was a lot of stuff I didn't do really well there. I was still not very good at following instructions. I may still not be very good at following instructions. So if something doesn't make sense to me, I have a hard time getting it done. But I graduated from there, and I loved it. It was an amazing experience. There were 30 people in my graduating class. So
that's it?
Yeah, that was it. That was 150 people in the town and 30 people in my graduating class. So, wow, rural experience. It's now a 4-year college and does some really interesting stuff around food sustainability and agriculture. And so it's a really interesting college.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, what actually changed when you finally decided to embrace your ADHD rather than fight it?
Well, the ADHD coach, she helped me with that. It was Tracy Otsuka, and she has a book out called ADHD for Smartass Women.
I love that title.
It's pretty great because we do tend to be a fairly irreverent crowd, and so it fits quite well, I think. And I did her group coaching, a group coaching course through her called ADHD's A-OK. And we explored sort of what our brains were doing and why and what our passions were and how to sort of move into a life where if we follow our passions and our strengths, then we actually can be successful and friendly to our brains at the same time.
Right.
And it was amazing. It was a sea change for me. I was like, wow, how did I miss this all these years? For one, like, why did I not pay attention to this ADHD and work through that? But, there's reasons for everything. And
yeah.
I was probably just not ready before then. And that's fine. And I did what I needed to do. But one thing as and it was so powerful. It was a huge change for me. I can't even explain how, started learning how to be kind to myself, not pushing myself to the edge of death all the time. Really just learning how to be a kinder person in general, because when you're pushing
Right.
yourself that hard, when you're that judgmental on yourself, it seeps out to other people. It's not. And then there's this emotional dysregulation around ADHD. We tend to be really have big emotions, right? And learning how to be kind to myself and my brain really helped me sort of figure out how to work with my emotions in a much more productive way. Not ignore them, because that's what I either did, ignore them or go up, right? So now I sort of learned how to do things in a much friendlier way for myself and the people around me. And so I decided to be a coach for myself.
And how'd you find her?
I think I found her on Facebook. She has a Facebook page called same title, ADHD for
Okay.
And I think that's where I found her. And that's that group, I think, was the first group I ever ran into that was really positive about ADHD. It was really informed and really positive about it. Not in a Pollyanna way. Like, yeah, no, we've got shit we need to deal with. Sorry about this.
Right. Oh, you're fine.
Right.
Hey, Sue, I'm a Marine. It's all right.
All right.
Okay?
And you're East Coaster, West Coast people don't swear as much.
Plus, I've had Italian women on here from Jersey and New York. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Need I say any more?
No, not at all. I now a Bostonian and, tend to talk like sailors. So,
Hey, wait a minute now. I do get offended by that. I never understood that. Cuss like a sailor.
Swear like a sailor.
Us Marines do it more. Although I don't know if I should be proud of that.
I think we need to start a research study and try and figure out who swears more.
Yeah, and they'll tell me to use my crayons, which I still don't get that joke. But anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think generally Northeast. We'll just say Northeast.
Okay.
Swearers. We swear. Where was I talking? What was I talking about?
About how you found her in the Facebook group.
Found her, and this amazing idea that I always thought, because I'm a strengths-based person. I always have had a strengths mindset, which has allowed me to get through how I've gotten through. But talking about my ADHD in particular as both a strength and something that needs to be addressed was a new idea for me, right? It was new to be like, oh, it can be a strength and have needs, and that's okay. So I think that was really the biggest, like, whoa, I could actually think about my needs and what I need to survive and thrive and enjoy my life, instead of just trying to work for everybody else and make myself look successful so that my parents were proud of me, or, whatever I was doing in whatever time I was saying. There's always some there was always some external validation that I needed.
Right.
And that's, it really helped me sort of get out from there and into myself and empower me to be who I needed to be. And it was just, it was astoundingly impactful.
See, then, if you wouldn't have found that Facebook group, you would not be an ADHD coach now.
Very possibly, yes.
I
And she's
remember
the one who even, I went to the same school she went to, because she was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the same ADHD coaching school that she did, because she was so impactful. I was like, well, I want your education.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where was that school at?
It's the ADD Coaching Academy. It's online. And I think they were the first ADHD academy that became ICF accredited. So I can get, so I'm,
Oh, wow.
I will be as soon as I get around to taking my test, which I have not done yet. It's only been 3 years. I'm sure any day now I'll get it done.
It's one of those projects. It's all right.
Yeah, it's a project. No, I think I'm gonna go for my advanced test in November. So, but anyway, I will get. So it's one of the only schools that has the accreditation that the International Coaching Federation approves, and or it was anyway. And then there's a few more now, but but then it was one of the only schools, and it was certainly the first one.
All right, I have to ask you this, and I don't know if you can answer this or not. And with going to this course, a school, or whatever, is one of the requirements that you have to have ADHD?
No, you don't have to have ADHD to go through it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Most people that go through it do have ADHD.
To me, it makes sense because, we talk about addiction a lot. Mm-hmm. And your peer recovery specialist, your peer recovery specialist are people that are in recovery. Right. They've been there. They've done that. To me, if you're an ADHD coach, if I have it and you're coaching me, yes, I want you to have it as well because you've been through it.
Yeah.
You know it. To me, that's just going to make you even stronger then, I think. I mean, better than somebody that doesn't have it. Yeah. Actually, so what are some ADHD traits that you see as superpowers now? Oh,
there's so many of them. And we're all unique, right? So we all have different things that we're strong in. But creativity is a big one. If we're not too overwhelmed, problem solving, we can be astounding problem solvers. We tend to be really good in a crisis. Our brains are seeking dopamine, right? Our brains are just need this like chemical that we're short on. And so a crisis gives us that. And when we have that, our brains just and calm down, focus, laser focus. We can go. It's amazing what folks can do in a crisis with ADHD. A lot of ICU nurses and doctors and people who are first responders, there's a large number of those who are have ADHD. Yeah. So because we're good at it, we tend to be. This isn't in the DSM at all. None of these are really in the DSM, but we tend to have this outside source of fairness and justice. And that goes for the autism spectrum as well. And I think it's probably partially because of how we've lived our lives and that we've constantly sort of felt beat down. We've felt broken. We've felt like we weren't being treated fairly. And we also have we're observant. Have a really sort of a wide angle lens on what we see. We don't have the filters that neurotypical folks have. So we notice a lot more, I think. And that's where the people think that we're so inattentive or we can't focus because we see everything and we don't filter it out. And so I think that as we see sort of the big picture, the wide angle lens, I think we can really see how it's affecting and impacting people. And that gives us this sense of justice and fairness. We tend to be really great, and we seek efficiencies where we like to do things new and different ways. So we see inefficiencies and seek to fix them. We tend to be very kind and compassionate people. Again, probably because of a lot of what we've gone through in our own lives. We tend to be sort of funny. I think part of that is sort of this creativity or something that is just, we just see things in a different way. And we're maybe a little impulsive. So sometimes it just comes out of our mouth. Whereas somebody else might think about like, oh, is that funny or not? I don't know. I don't care. I just say it.
You know what? I'm wondering now, and I never thought about this. I wonder how many comedians actually have ADHD.
In the creative world,
probably a shit.
Comedians, musicians, artists, people who seek a different world than sort of, settle down and have your 9-to-5 job. I would guess there's not a lot of studies on it, but I would guess there's a huge percentage of ADHD.
I would think so. I would think so. Mm-hmm. I would definitely think so.
Yeah, so they think that around 6 to 8% of the population, 6 to 10% of the population has ADHD. Almost 40% of entrepreneurs, I think it's more, but anyway, almost 40% of entrepreneurs have ADHD.
Both of those numbers seem very low. I think both of those numbers seem very low.
Yes. Yeah, I think, they only study what they study and they only catch what they catch. But, so yeah, no, I think that I have heard hearsay that some other ADHD experts who've been in the field much, much longer than me believe that as far as in the successful entrepreneur, level, like people who are really successful, like you could talk about it, like Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Phil Knight, the Nike guy, Simone Biles, who took her own went in her own direction. I all have ADHD. So in the successful level of people who really strive doing their own thing, a different thing, I've heard that some people say upwards of 75, 80% of them have ADHD.
That number I would believe. I think that would be more accurate.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to find a self-made executive who is not successful executive who is not neurodivergent.
I'm just trying to think of all the people that I know that are entrepreneurs. I'm going to have to do my own study. I'm going to ask them.
Yeah,
they're either going to get upset at me or they're going to just, be honest with me. But I would love to find that out because, and the thing is too, with ADHD, it's, unfortunately, I think it's a lot like addiction, anxiety, depression. There's a stigma about it. And a lot of people that have it either don't want to talk about it or people, for some reason, even people that don't have it don't want to talk about it, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, things don't get better unless you talk about it.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. I've got to share something with you. If you're in Maryland and thinking about real estate, you've got to check out Daniel McGee and the Victory Team. A close friend of mine sold their house with them, and honestly, I was blown away by the smoothness of the process and the level of care they received. And it's not just them. Several others in my circle have had similar experiences. Daniel and his team have this personal touch that's just so rare these days. They actually listen and tailor their services to fit exactly what you need. And with fees way lower than the industry standard, you really feel like you're getting luxury service without that hefty price tag. So whether you're buying or selling, go to victoryteamsells.com and get started with Daniel McGee and his incredible team. Believe me, with them, it's not just a transaction, it's a relationship. Actually, I'm sure you could probably answer this. What are some misconceptions you see people have about ADHD?
Yeah.
Actually, especially adults.
Well, the biggest one is adults don't have ADHD, right? It's just some sort of excuse, for not doing things the right way or for being a pain in the ass or whatever. It's just an excuse. You don't really have that. So that's the biggest one. And so it was in the late 90s or early 2000s that they finally, the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, whatever that is, they finally said that ADHD does carry on into adulthood in some percentage. I think it's 100%. Some adults get better at masking it. Some adults get better at dealing with it in various ways. Like in me, I'm getting better at dealing with it. But as I get better at dealing with it, because I'm unmasking, I'm becoming much more visibly ADHD. So I think, people get better at masking it as they go older and or they go into places where they don't see them anymore, like homeless camps or, prisons or they die there's a horrible study. It's an amazing study, really important, that came out just a few months ago that says that ADHD can take up to 13 years off of a person's life expectancy. It's worse than smoking.
Wow.
It is. So if we don't address it, but we don't see it, it's invisible, right? It's like
Yeah.
any other invisible disability. And though I believe it is a strength in today's society, it is very much a disability because we need things to be different than what society wants us to do. So it is, it's invisible. People don't see it. It can be really paradoxical. We look really, really competent often. And then but we can't brush our teeth, or we can't remember to put the cans in the recycle, or whatever. We can't do things that people expect us to be able to do because we tend to be pretty capable people. So a lot of people think that ADHD is an indication of intelligence, and that's not true. And a lot of people think that it's an indication of a lack of intelligence, which is also not true. There's no correspondence between sort of IQ or intelligence quotients and ADHD. Our brains work differently. So in some situations, we may look like we're really, we're speeding along faster than the rest of the crowd, or we may be, slowing things down because something's not clicking. But it's
trying to understand it better.
Yeah. Or want to get into every little nook and cranny of it because we have this focus on this. But so a lot of pieces, there's just so many, and people think that we are all super scattered and really have a super high energy, but that's not true. There's an inattentive type of ADHD where daydreaming is sort of the big symptom that people pay attention to.
Really?
Yeah, just not being able to sort of focus on the task at hand and just sort of drifting off into your own little world.
I definitely have it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to daydream all the time in school.
Yeah.
And now if we go somewhere and I could sit there and watch a speaker and I look like I'm focused, it's like tunnel. I'm just daydreaming about something else.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes I read a whole chapter of a book and wait.
Yes.
I didn't get one word of that.
How does somebody get diagnosed? How does somebody get diagnosed?
So it's not super easy, but it's not as hard as it is in some places. And it sort of depends on the state. I'm not sure. I know in Oregon and Washington, you can get diagnosed with it by your general physician.
Okay.
So, and it's actually not, some people are like, it's this huge rigorous process. For ADHD itself, is not a very huge rigorous process. There's some pretty short questionnaires that can give people a pretty good idea whether you have ADHD traits or not, and would benefit from ADHD accommodations or medication.
I think I definitely want to look into that.
Yeah, no, if you're interested, I think ask your GP and see, or your PCP, wherever they call different things at different places. So general practitioner, primary care doctors, see if they, sometimes therapists recommend people to a diagnostician, or perhaps your GP might do that. I was diagnosed, initially I was diagnosed as a kid, in Sudbury, Massachusetts, and I feel like I was probably diagnosed in Ned Hallowell's office, he's one of the sort of grandfathers of the people that talk about ADHD. So he wrote a great book called Driven to Distraction with John Rady, and it's a really wonderful book about, again, ADHD strengths and how amazing ADHD can be, but also how much you need to pay attention to it. So I was diagnosed by him, and where was I going with this? We were talking about diagnostics. So I went through a big sort of neuropsych diagnostic. It probably took a half a day or a full day, something like that. Just went through a bunch of tests, but I think that's one way to do it. But then also when I was re-diagnosed, and when I had my kiddo at 36, I was re-diagnosed because I was like, I got to do something about this. I wanted to get on medication. And it was she just gave me a questionnaire of about 10 questions or something like that.
Okay.
And she was like, I don't know. If I got diagnosed in 1988 as a girl, which is, people think that there's a differentiation between how many girls have ADHD and how many boys do. And it's not true. There isn't any.
Really?
This is the study, because girls get missed all the time, because of these traditional traits of this hyperactivity. But girls are better at masking. Girls are taught to be better behaved. So we're better at sort of holding it in. But also, and we also sometimes display more as the inattentive type instead of the hyperactive type. But anyway, I have a pretty good dose of ADHD. I'm a combined type. I'm not super active physically. I'm always moving. I'm always fidgeting with something. So my nurse practitioner back in when I was 36, however long that was ago, it was
last year,
20 years, something like that. Yeah. Last year or 20 years ago or something like that.
Last year.
Time.
Wait a minute. There ain't no way in hell you were 36 20 years ago.
I was 36 17 years ago. So
no way.
I think yes, that makes sense. 72. So yeah, I think.
Oh, wait a minute. Now that I do the math with school and everything, well, damn, you look good for your age.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
60. Okay. So, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Give me some of that water you're drinking.
No, it's partly it's like I didn't look like this 4 years ago when I got burnt out. And I mean, when you're healthy and taking care of yourself, right? That's what
makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. So how long ago was it that you started coaching the ADHD?
About 3
coaching?
years ago. Mm-hmm.
All right. About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So how do you actually help clients tap into their strengths and build ADHD friendly lives?
It's really unique to the client.
Okay.
And it really depends. So it depends on what they want and need when they come in. I always meet people where they're at. I always work on a strengths base. So it's a very strengths based practice, and we always work to find strengths, find passions, and move into ways of doing things that appreciate our brains and take into account our brains instead of trying to force ourselves into these little boxes that we talked about earlier. That's just like, no, we don't want to. We're gonna branch out a little bit. We're gonna open our horizons. We're not gonna try and fit into this box. So you have these things you want to do. Let's figure out how to get those done. And if they're not something that you want and love long term, let's also figure out how to sort of create your life in a way that really works for your brain. And so we do sort of bolster the executive functioning right here, right now. How do I get my room clean? And then also through that often comes like, how do I find a career that I love? How do I find accommodations that I need? How do I find the tools and the support system that I need in my life to thrive? How do I do something crazy that I've wanted to do forever, but I've been too scared to? How do I get out of this perfectionism mindset? Because again, as ADHDers, we're put down all the time. So we have this perfectionism that is just driven. We are so desperate to make people think that we are not broken people.
Right.
And
I love the way you said that.
Yeah. No, it's sad, and but it's so important.
But it's true.
It is. And we are at approximately 20,000 more negative things about ourselves by the time we're 10 than neurotypical does. It's devastating. And we have that trauma of like always being wrong, always being disruptive, always being whatever it is that we're doing wrong. Yeah. And they're moral judgments too. Like, we know you can do it, you just won't. We know you know how to behave, but you won't. But you're still being disruptive. Like, we know that you can, because it's invisible, right? It looks
Right.
like we can do these things, but it's not a matter of whether we can or not. It's even if we know it, it's not whether we know it or not. It's just that we can't make our brains do it unless our brains have a reason that is compelling enough to make it happen.
All right. So with the coaching, you said 3 years. I love to hear the feel good stories. So, you're coaching people no matter where they're at, right? So you're doing it through the power of the internet and in person, or just virtually?
I just started doing it in person.
Okay.
And actually I really like it. I started because it was right after COVID and everybody was on the internet. I started just virtual, but I started doing it in person. I really love it. And I've just started doing it in groups as well, which is really wonderful because the power of being in
that real person connection makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you see other people have the same struggles as you feel less broken, you feel less alone. And so it's really,
I would also think that for you as a coach, when you're doing it in person, you could probably see the difference you're making because body language tells a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just watching somebody's face and everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell sometimes virtually, because it just is.
Yeah. We're trained to, part of the training is like, pay attention to their face, pay attention to their body language, pay attention to their stature. And we do actually a fair amount because ADHD is also I think I said earlier, the suck at knowing how we feel. Mm-hmm. Reflecting back that like, I see that you've got some energy around that idea. I see that in your face, or seeing when somebody's like dropped their shoulders or tensed themselves up and like, I see how does that feel for you? It's a big, and it's, in person, it's even more powerful.
So can you actually share a feel good story with us about somebody, one of your clients that you've been able to help? And you don't have to use their name.
I don't have any. I certainly can't use anybody's name. I don't have any that I've really formulated. But let's see. I had a woman, one of my first, that went through a whole my program, which is what my book is designed around, which is a 10-session program that takes you through passions and like what are your passions, what are your strengths, what do you really want to do, and what tools do you need to be successful in those places, and then how do you wrap it up and create this owner's manual for your brain so that when you forget, because we have shitty memories, when you forget, you have this book where you could like, that's how I do this. And this is where I succeed. These are ways that I've succeeded in the past. One of the people who went through it first with me, she found it so impactful, that she created her owner's manual, right? And she has become, I need to write it in a way that's more powerful, but she's become much more free with, she was putting all of these onuses of like, I have to have the successful job in this field. I have to do, and since then she's entered into an entrepreneurial program and she started to get really open up about what her work means to her and how she moves into careers that she loves. And she's really focusing on her strengths and her passions now. Whereas before she was like, I just need to fit myself into this box. So now she's in this entrepreneurial program. She's moving forward and she's having art exhibits and she's doing all these amazing things. And it was just a wonderful unfolding to see.
Nice. All right. So the book, ADHD Brilliance, A Journey into Your Extraordinary Brain. How long did it actually take you to write this?
Not very long.
Really?
I remember I was saying something about ADHD or sometimes doing things faster than others. So I decided last July I just sort of started fiddling with the idea. And by September, I had the book pretty much written and was going through readers. And by January, it was all proofed and ready for publications. Then I screwed up the publication, and now it's just finally republished in a way that is widely distributed. But at first, it took me about 6 months.
Wait a minute. So you're not self-published?
I am self-published, but
okay.
There's apparently a method to doing this that I maybe didn't read the instruction manual.
All right. So why did you actually decide to write it? Were you just sitting there one day and you just said, I need to write a book about this?
Well, I have clients that have ADHD, and I have a lot of worksheets for them. And over time, they were like, can you just make a packet for us of these worksheets? So I started making the packet, and it was this summer slump. We don't get as many clients in the summertime because people are off doing fun things. So and when I'm not coaching, I feel it really feeds me. This coaching, this opening up, and it's a real two-way street. It's a collaboration. I love it. And so I felt I needed something to sort of make me feel like I was still sort of in the game. Mm-hmm. And so I started putting those worksheets together, and then I was like, well, they need instructions. So I added the instructions. I was like, well, then they probably need some personal ideas around like how I've gone through these things. So there's some
like a little memoir part.
Yeah. And then I got that way. I was like, well, now I have half a book. And I really feel like it's important that people not watch these, not base their entire idea of what ADHD is based on these TikTok and reels. And, there's just so much misinformation out there and so much misunderstanding around ADHD. So like, well, okay, well, I'll write this introduction, which is the first part of the book, which is a really accessible and fact-based description of what ADHD is and how it impacts people in their lives, including myths and truths and how different parts of our lives are different. And and then because I wanted it to be accessible for we often have co-occurring conditions like dysgraphia and dyslexia and all these other sort of reading issues. That I made it. I had to do the internal design too because I need to do my own thing. So, so then I designed it. I learned how to use InDesign. I designed my book and did all the interior publishing as well. And then, so it was fun. It's beautiful. So I had a wonderful cover designer, and she did some illustrations, but it's broken up in a way that's sort of friendly to the ADHD brains. It's short sections, it's big letters. There's like little, myths and things. There's pictures and there's illustrations and there's little like sidebars and stuff. So it's sort of built for the ADHD brain as well.
What was the hardest part to write?
Probably, I guess one of the biggest things was like figuring out the organization of it.
Right.
Because my brain doesn't tend to be as organized as some other people's brains, but that was an interesting thing. There's two kinds of writers. I've learned this since. There's pantsers and there's outliners. The pantsers are the one who do things by the seat of their pants.
Okay.
That's me. And so I had the whole thing before it was organized. I had all the writing. And so I had to then organize it. And then overcoming the fear of like, who am I?
Yeah.
To put this book out? Who am I? What if people don't like it? What if, there's so many people that know more about ADHD? Who am I to say that this is the way? Overcoming those ideas was really, really hard. And I actually really sort of needed to put blinders on and just stop thinking about it until it was published and out in the world. Because I don't think if I had let those thoughts continue to intrude,
it wouldn't be out.
I wouldn't have done it. So
no. Well, something very important. How do people get the book?
You can find it on my web. So it's available everywhere now. So which is really exciting. So you can get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can walk into a local bookstore and ask them to order it for you. So that's available everywhere. And then you can also find it on my website, which is pathwaysforwardcoaching.com. And then it has a ADHD Brilliance tab at the top. You can just go over there and get it there.
Any plans on putting it out in audio version?
I am not. I'm trying to figure out the best way because I made the interior design in such a way. It's mostly a workbook, so an audio is like I'm not sure how helpful that would be. I was sort of thinking about maybe a course, making a sort of video course with it.
Yeah.
And then it's also not very like putting it in a ebook format is not very conducive to that either. So, but if you buy the book, all the worksheets are available online, so you can get PDF worksheets of it. And what else? So I'm just sort of thinking about what the different formats are going to be. Because I am who I am. It's not going to be the standard.
I think you could do it as an audio version, especially if you have the free PDFs and everything.
Yeah, maybe could.
And you think about it. I mean, Sue, what have you been doing? You've been on podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have the equipment to record it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, no sense of paying for somebody to do it when you can do it yourself.
Yeah, it is. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. I have been toying with it. So we'll see where it ends up. But I do know that a lot of my clients would prefer it in an audio way. So
all right. So we know that the book is for people with ADHD. Who else is it for?
I
think I know, but I want you to tell everybody.
Yeah, it's really for people who love people who have ADHD, which is basically everybody in the world.
Yes.
And even if you don't have ADHD, the work that's in here, I got to say, it's not tips and tricks. It's not like, how do you hack your brain to do the thing that you think you should be doing? This is about how do you really dig deep and figure out where your passions lies? How do you really live your favorite life? And that helps everybody.
Yeah.
So anybody can go through these worksheets and improve their sort of how they move through their own lives.
Well, people get a better understanding of it as well. People that don't have ADHD would definitely get a better understanding of it, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. So for someone newly diagnosed, especially an adult, what advice would you give them as a first step?
That is a hard one. I just have written a few Substacks on that sort of like, what's the journey? But that's mostly about sort of treatment, like how do you work with your ADHD? But I think before you get there or during the same time, you need to go through a process that is perhaps a grief process.
Yeah.
Like, what could life have been if I had known earlier? Oh, everybody thought I was so terrible. I thought I was broken all my life. What could my life have been like had I not been there? So you have to get through that process, go through that process and sort of find your way. And I do see people get stuck in that, oh, what could have been? And my favorite thing to say to people is, you can't know, for one.
Right.
Today is today, and you're moving forward. There's no way to know what could have been. And if you had known earlier, what might not have been that was. So
you get that put on a shirt.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's a journey. Life's a journey. Like, I took my degree is in outdoor education for social change. I wanted to work with at-risk youth to empower people. I wanted to empower people to find their own strength and move forward in their own power. And I gave that up and went on this huge roller coaster of an adventure until I got to ADHD coaching, where I am now, empowering people to live in their power and move forward. And I don't think I could have done that then.
Yeah.
I think I needed this journey to get here. So twists and turns, they happen. I don't think I could have done it without them, though.
And here it is. And now you're helping people that have it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I have to ask you this because this has been bugging me. Because you've mentioned and I love the phrase, your kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
So does your kiddo have ADHD as well?
My kiddo does indeed have ADHD.
Okay.
They're 17 and perhaps also on the spectrum. Not really sure, not diagnosed there.
Okay.
But yes, for sure, ADHD, and they are very different than me. They are super driven and successful, and they get good grades, and they go to do their thing, and they have their first summer job this year, and they're really really motivated. They're just really really sort of moving through life as an amazing force of nature, and they
That's
care
awesome.
about people, and they are their own person. Right now, their head is shaved, and there's one side is green with stripes, and one side is pink with black dots, and they're a watermelon.
Okay.
So they are creative and unusual and personable and super fun and a total monster, by the way. I mean, so don't forget that part. But they're only really a total monster to me. Everybody else, they're pretty awesome too. So.
God. All right. So before I get to my last question, which I have no idea what it's going to be, is there anything you would like to add?
I think I really loved that question around what do people do first when they get, and my answer sort of surprised me. And so I just would love people to understand or to start to try to feel in them a knowing that whatever their journey was to get where they are.
Yeah.
It's what it was. And now they can only move forward. And so it's sort of like, how do we need to process what happened in the past. It's totally okay and totally valid and totally important. But it doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow you can't live a completely different life if you want to. So it's just like trying to accept what was and moving forward in it as best you can is really important for it's a life-changing diagnosis, especially for somebody in their 50s who's been struggling all their life. It's really impactful. So sit in it, understand it, feel it, and move forward.
I love that. All right. So what I've been doing lately with my guest is I have a list of 100 different questions. I have no idea what they are, except for the ones that the people have already picked, but I forgot which numbers they were. So, and the funny thing is, some of them somehow or another have picked a question that aligns with what we are talking about. So, pick a number between 1 and 100.
35.
35. All right. Why does everybody keep going for the 30s? Somebody picked 34 the other day. All right. 35. You know what? This is scary. Where did the questions go? Oh, there they are. I lost the questions.
You're going to have to make something up on the spot.
Wow. Holy cow. Okay. Ooh. This is perfect. If you had to describe your life's purpose in one sentence, what would it be?
I'm going to make it overarching. Make things better. Improve things. Make things better.
I like that. That's good. That's perfect. Yeah. See that?
It has been my life goal since I was itty bitty. I've always wanted to make improvements, make things, and it feels really pretentious. Not pretentious. I don't know. It feels like but it's not like I'm trying to like change everything because I know the answer. But it's just like I just want to help.
Yeah. Which, it's important. I mean, I'm the same way. I just want to help out as much as possible and learn. Yeah, I just love learning, which is why I do this. And I've learned a lot today with you.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So, Sue, I want to thank you so much. It's been an honor. Those of you listening, you know what I'm going to say. Go out, buy the book. After you read it, leave a full review, whether it be on Amazon, Goodreads, Barn, wherever you can leave reviews. Don't give it to somebody else because you're going to keep it as a guidebook, but buy copies for other people and give it to them. Actually, I would say even for your, company.
Yeah.
Put it on, anytime you go to the dentist, the doctor or whatever, buy a copy and just leave it on the table where they leave stuff. Ooh, I like that challenge.
Yeah, that's good.
Sue, I like that. I'm going to have to start doing that. Sue, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation. It's been really fun.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to the Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going. It takes a lot to put a podcast together. And my sponsors help out a lot, but I also have some supporters that actually help me when it comes to the editing software, the hosting, and so forth. There's a lot that goes into putting this together. So I want to thank them. And if you can, please visit their websites, visit their businesses, support them however you can. So please visit the following. Real Life Prosthetics, cutting edge solutions, restoring ability since 2001. Go to reallifeprosthetics.com. Full Circle Boards. Nobody does charcuterie like Full Circle Boards. Visit them at fullcircleboards.com. Sincerely Sawyer Photography. Live in the moment. They'll capture it. Visit them at sincerelysawyer.com.